Right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Love Island Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. Here we are, ready to go again.
Yeah, we are. And like a bad smell, Mr. Asa Caton is back.
What an introduction. Thanks, guys. Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here again.
That wasn't rehearsed. I can only say I do apologise, Asa. Sometimes the comedy gets it, sometimes it doesn't. Where do we start first? Asa, have you got anything you want to talk about?
So yeah, there's probably 3 or 4 events from tonight's show that I'd like to talk about, and I'm sure we'll cover off as we go through the cast. I have to say, as the series draws on, I'm just feeling it less and less for these characters in the villa. They're just so one-dimensional and immature, and I mentioned it to Dave the other night when we were talking. I think it's really turning into this girls versus boys. It's making for worse and worse TV as we go through. Everyone's dealing with more of the fallout of the arguments than the actual coupling up and falling in love, which is what Love Island is supposed to be, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about, Asa. I think the girls are brilliant in this.
Well, Dave, I don't know what you've been fucking watching.
I don't know because I've not seen the previous seasons, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of love in this Love Island. It does seem to be all these personal battles. And I do have to say, tonight, I don't think any of the girls came off particularly well. Obviously, depending on how much airtime they had. But, I guess if we start off with that, the vote, so that it went to the public vote, didn't it? Who are your favourite couples? I think we called it yesterday. I think we pretty much said, Danny and Jourdan have had hardly any screen time, so can't see many people voting for them. Lucy, I think everyone's just a little bit bored of, and George has got no personality at all. I guess the only one which was a little bit, could have gone either way was Curtis and Amy. Would they have enough residue popularity from before? But, they're in the bottom 3 as well. So, I mean, Chris, what do you reckon? Any surprises there, really?
No, and I think what fucked it up as well is they're sort of trying to give us the old cliffhanger, like, oh my God, tune into tomorrow's episode, Batman. Well, we already know because a few hours before the show that Amy's fucking left. So Amy's not been voted off as a couple. So that means that George and Lucy have gone. So that's absolutely pointless TV now tonight. It's going to be over in about the first 30 seconds. We'll probably get an acknowledgement of her leaving as much as we saw fucking Craig David on Saturday. So, Sunday, sorry, was it Monday or Tuesday? It just depends what day it is, done it with him. But yeah, it was just fucking rubbish at the end. It was, as we predicted, Danny, we've not seen fuck all of him since Yuandi's gone out, really. He gets with Jourdan. He was even a peripheral figure when Curtis was laying it on the line with Jourdan. We've not had enough from him. And leading on from that is, I've got to say, I'm calling her out. I've been on and off this train, on and off, and agree. But Maura talking utter bullshit from China to Amy. What a load of shit that meeting was around the fire pit. What a cow she is.
What do you think, Asa?
I've said the same from the start. I don't particularly like either of them for very different reasons. I think Amy's quite dull. I think she's probably over-dramatized the whole Curtis breakup. But Maura, she keeps trying to paint herself as this girl's girl, this friend to the girls in the house. And now all of a sudden she's turning around saying, oh, well, I never really got on with Amy. So for that reason, I'm going to crack on with Curtis. and it was just, I think they're all... Certainly Maura just trying to justify what she's done in her own head. But when it actually comes out and she's trying to explain it to Amy, I can understand why Amy's thinking, you bitch, what utter bullshit.
I think there's two people for me that jump out that just manipulate rules and sound bites for whatever their agenda is. And that's Maura and that's Anna. And when it suits, they'll call out girl code and all this bollocks. And I don't know. For me, this whole thing of girl code, guy code, these are not people you've known for years. These aren't like relationships that you built up over a long time and you expect more and you've got a deep level of trust with them. They're just on holiday together. So it fucking does my head in, quite honestly, when they're going on about this. Oh, well, I'm mortally wounded because I thought you'd come to me first. No, it's a fucking game show. This is the whole point. And but you know, when Maura was going on to Elma, who she'd known for even less time, she was mortally offended that Elma would even entertain speaking to Tom. And now it's like, well, don't like Amy, so.
And I saw a movement tonight that said yes, Anna. So for while I'm watching the show, let me have a look exactly what that is. And it's plenty of people supporting Anna for the way she dug out Lucy, Maura, she had to go. Everyone, and I'll be honest with you, her advice was absolutely on the money. What she said was perfect.
Yeah.
But, and there's a big fuck off, but you've got to practice what you fucking preach, girl. If you're going to say that sort of shit, surely the bullshit I've called you out on before merits you to just shut your fucking mouth and get on with your snide little games with the fucking little weasel Jourdan, because at the end of the day, you're right, but I've got no fucking respect for you because you do not practice that at all.
I'm very disappointed that none of them actually turned around and called her out on that and said, you know what, who the fuck are you to lecture us? Get your own house in order. And I know we've spoken about the voting and the couples, but I'm convinced from what we've seen over the last few days, unless we are getting it massively wrong on Anna, I think that Ovi's dragged them over the line in terms of the most popular couples, because I can't see anything that redeems Anna unless we are missing something massive.
I think, though, it appeals to the people who are holier than thou themselves, the hypocrites who point the finger everywhere else and say, oh, yes, you should absolutely do this. You know, Curtis and Amy have been going out, so Maura should have absolutely gone across and had a word with Amy before she's even put the feelers out and knows and understands how Curtis feels. Because he could have turned around and said, yes, well, I'm not interested, thanks. And that would have been the end of it. So it's those people who will be like, yeah, I'm sure Anna is absolutely on it. And if you're in that camp, good on you, but I completely disagree with it myself. Again, it's utter bullshit. And it'd be utter bullshit coming from anyone, but especially Anna. And I found myself tonight getting more and more wound up because Ovi's just sat there. He's all chilled. To be fair to Anna, she did say, you know, I'm going to sleep outside with Jourdan tonight. You know, not to be fair to her to actually do it, you know, after, you know, what such a hard time she's given Danny over Yuandi. I think, you know, to do that in the first place, but she did have a word, but then to be like all over each other, right? You sat right fucking there, for fuck's sake. So again, I can imagine that there's a lot of people who are right behind Anna. And in the villa, sometimes they're not seeing what we're seeing as well. Now, we're getting an edited version. But remember, the whole thing that set Curtis off on this path was having it pointed out that, well, Amy just has you apologizing for stuff that you haven't even done wrong.
Yeah.
And that had planted that seed. So I think it's the same with Anna. You know, Amber, there's no way she's going to call out Anna for anything. She worships the ground she walks on. She's her elder. She's kind of taken this role as the matriarch in that girl group, I think.
Yeah, and I think as well, I'm not going to call bullying, but I think Ace is pretty much right. There's something not right with this, the fact that people must be able to see what Anna's done. And nobody's mentioned the fact she put it on Jourdan literally as she had a Barney with Ovi. They weren't even over or deciding what was going on. So, like I say, I covered it yesterday. It's just fucking weird. It's weird that no one even acknowledges what the fuck's gone on. So, very, very strange. And again, Maura, going back to her with Curtis, I still find that as the fucking most bizarre coupling up I've seen. And she literally, fucking hell, she's absolutely creaming herself, isn't she, over every time you mention Curtis? And I'm thinking, you're either a good actress or there has been something there, because I can't gauge that girl at all.
It's what we said yesterday, isn't it? She's like all in. She's talking about marrying Curtis. If they actually coupled up, after a couple of days, she'd be bored. That seems to be the way she operates. So I just don't get it at all. It does smack of gameplay to me. And I don't know if you guys caught After Sun on Monday, but, you know, old, not Marvin, the other one, Denon, and that's the one. So he was thinking that Maura was playing some sort of game, and because they'd spent a lot of time together, and then just out the blue, she opts for Marvin. So I don't know. It's just, but I'm kind of a bit done with it as well. You know, she gives the occasional soundbite that's pretty funny, but you know, I don't think she's that nice, really.
What I would say is there's no consistency in her behaviour in the villa, so she flip flops between that flirty girl who just wants to get to know all of the lads in there, to then being that quite serious person giving the advice, to then being that faux offended person when somebody actually calls her out on something. Yeah. There isn't sort of one character trait that you could stick on her and say, oh yeah, that's Maura.
Well, she's consistently inconsistent, isn't she? Like I say, she uses rules and sayings to just suit whatever her agenda is on that day. And although I don't necessarily think she needed to have a word with Amy, I think what makes it particularly distasteful is the fact that for the previous days, while Amy's been heartbroken there, she's just been laying it on thick and giving her a bit of tough love and saying, you know, not quite saying, you know, men are all bastards, but, you know, you cannot give him a second chance. He's done. And then to now say, well, I fancied him since day one. Come on, that seems a bit manipulative.
Yeah.
Exactly. If that was real life and your best friend, well, not saying the best friends, but one of your closest friends who you confided in goes and then puts it on your missus or your partner or whatever, then I'm pretty sure you're going to be sending over a winger to their nose. I mean, obviously my nose probably does need planning, but luckily I would never do anything like that. But genuinely, it's not right. There's no code. It's just as a person. That is just morally completely wrong. So I agree. What I found bizarre was when Curtis was talking to the guys around like the kitchen area about it, they were acting as if Maura had just come in and she'd not fucked about 3 or 4 different lads. I mean, she tried to split Tommy up. From there, she's tried it on with every Tom. There was different people she's been involved with, and they just were oblivious. Oh, do you like her? Oh, what do you reckon? Do you think she's pretty? And I'm like, I fucking don't get it at all. Unless they've been briefed not to say it. It just didn't fit in at all with the whole dynamic of what's going on.
Do you reckon Curtis will go for it? If he's left in the villa, we assume he is.
Well, Dave, as Amy's gone, you're fucking damn right I will.
Fucking Frank's side bottom.
Also,
I don't think he's gonna have a choice, is he?
No,
I don't think he will. I think she's too dominating for him. I think, you know, he'd sent her that message on Instagram. He clearly finds her physically attractive. I think he's a bit scared of her.
Yeah, you could be right. Now, sorry,
I'm trying to think who he was talking to, but he did say words to that effect, didn't he? That he found her attractive, but that she was a little bit too much at times.
And when he's sort of talking to her, his eyes kind of go really small, and he's really thinking hard about every word that he's saying, and he speaks even slower than normal. So I'm just, he might couple up with her because he's got no choice, but I don't think he will.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. And let's talk about the most boring and non-event date we've ever seen in Love Island this series, Anton and Belle, who revealed that her dad was Tamer Hassan, which obviously he said, I'm taking off you. And I didn't give a fuck about it, really.
She didn't actually reveal it, did she? She just said that he was an actor and that he'd been in a few films, British gangster films. But, I know from reading sort of bits in the media that it's Tamer Hassan's daughter. Fair play to her. She hasn't mentioned it to any of the... It's not like Danny Dyer. Well, it's not like you could hide it with a name like Danny Dyer, is it? But when she was in last year, you know, it's pretty much all she spoke about when she was in the villa. but Belle's not gone out of her way to mention it to other people. So she's trying to be her own person. So
she's not gone out of her way to say anything, really.
Yeah, fair play to her. But we've had a bit of a soft spot for Anton between us since probably week 2, week 3, when we kind of realised that he was going to be this unlucky in love character who's actually just a bit of a personality around the house. He's quite funny, isn't he? He has his moments. I think he's had a few moments with Lucy, trying to help her get over the whole Tommy thing, and now that he's actually found somebody, that personality's been quashed a little bit, I think, and she's not exactly outspoken or a particularly flamboyant character. So the two of them have just kind of faded into the background. They're doing their own little thing. Like you say, the date was pretty much wasn't even a date, was it? Really, it was Anton milking a goat, and then they had a drink, and then they went back to the villa.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd spoken about this yesterday. I mean, what do you think, Chris?
I thought it was fucking bullshit, and it was just a 2 or 3 minute filler for the show, to be honest. I didn't really care. She was moaning she was seeing a goat's arse, but she was happy to shave Anton's arse right there, I don't know. It doesn't get me at all.
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things that kind of jumped out at me. I think Anton started to say something like, if someone came in, he was gonna say his head wouldn't be turned, but then he opted not to say that. He just said, he really likes her and stuff. And she said something like, "You're the type of person I think I've been looking for," or something like that. But it was all like, it was almost conducted like a business meeting. And I said yesterday, I just see nothing between them. And I still just see nothing. I still see Anton is probably more into her than, she's into him. He'd gone for a few weeks with nothing, getting nothing, and that was probably one of the funniest things is just how he dealt with that. So I think he probably wouldn't recouple right now, but I think she would. I think I still see that way she jumped into bed with him was pretty tactical, and I don't see any chemistry there.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I do as well. And let me get to the one thing that knocked me sick through the episode. And I sound terrible now, like I'm proper throwing everyone under the bus. But was anybody convinced by the fact that Molly May's into Tommy when he asked her to be a girlfriend? Because I tell you now, once that OK deal's out the way, they amicably spit and they're going to stay friends for the rest of their lives. What a load of bullshit.
Yeah, I can't really see much in that, if I'm honest. I said this to you in the chat, I don't even know if I believe Tommy's as serious as he's making out to be. Yeah, I just don't believe it. I don't find him... I don't find anything he says credible.
I don't think he knows what he's saying, though, to be fair.
I can kind of buy that Tommy is into her. I think I can buy that. What I don't really understand is, when you're trying to set up this elephant and they're both trying to figure out who's thicker than the other. They're basically trying to write a fucking love note with about, 20 words, and neither of them wants to do it. Tommy's like, "I've never finished school," and Anton. Curtis is like, "Oh, I'm dyslexic." Well, the last I checked, if you're dyslexic, you can still write. But anyway, what was with pouring her fucking makeup all over the floor? What did that have to do with anything? Because I thought that had just pissed Molly May off, to be honest.
Yeah, they were trying to find eyeliner to write with because they've got no pens and paper in the villa.
Yeah, which is weird, because Sam actually said to me, she went, "Oh, that's a schoolboy error, that. You don't fuck with a lady's makeup."
Well, he could have just searched through for an eyeliner and fucking put it back. It seemed like I thought it was all part of the plan, but I don't know. I've got to ask you, lads. So is this thing of calling each other a boyfriend and girlfriend a thing? Because the last time that was a thing for me, I think I was about 6 years old.
Yeah, and even then there was no touching, Dave. So I remember having a girlfriend then, and it was literally like, "You're my girlfriend, yeah, we're girlfriend, boyfriend." We couldn't even go together in the playground because lads had their side, girls had theirs, and you'd like stand in the middle. We'd be in a Catholic one. We used to have to stand at the bottom of the steps and sort of chat, and then we go off playing football, thinking we were cool. So I think that's about the only way I can justify it. To be honest.
I thought you went to an all boys school, Chris.
Look, I'm open to anything.
He did, yeah. Just wait for the priest down there.
Hey, I was a good boy. Don't you worry about that. I was an older boy as well. Funny you should say that, Dave. Let's move swiftly on there.
You were an altered boy.
Fucking Operation U-Tree, I know that. No, but genuinely, he's so unconvincing. And I think Dave absolutely nailed it the other day with that fake cry. Every time I've seen it since when she comes in, that was just like, this is fucking bullshit. I think Tommy, because of the background he's in, he morally, he's into her. He morally, and the way he's been brought up, that's the way he was taught. Everyone who knows him say he's a really, really respectful lad. He's a cracking lad. So I believe him. I just don't believe. I think she thinks boxer Tyson Fury's brother, we're going to get a deal out of it. She's got a big YouTube channel, which is part of makeup and doing her hair and stuff. Everyone's a winner. Danny and Jack made a lot of money when they came out last year. Exactly what I said about Curtis the other episode about the fact that he's dropped a bollock halfway through the show and got a conscience. He should have rode out the Amy Storm until he got out. They could have been a brand, milked all the money and fucked off to Strictly, but he's bollocked himself up now. And I think that's all that's happening here, to be honest. I think it's just becoming a brand.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, predictions for tonight?
George, Lucy, gone.
I wonder whether there'll be... I said this leading up to tonight's vote, whether they would try and... The producers would try and fix it so they got the result that they wanted. So I was kind of half expecting that it would be the three couples and then they would go back to the girls picking the boys picking the girls to go. So I was quite surprised when a couple went in Danny and Jourdan. I did wonder whether tomorrow night that they would do the same thing, but it's pretty clear from what's been in the papers about Amy going that, yeah, it's going to be George and Lucy that goes. And then Amy walks out. So there you go. That's my prediction. It's pretty much nailed on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that bit's nailed on. I meant anything else, really.
I think there's going to be more people in there, definitely. There's got to be, now Amy's gone. I think you're going to see at least two more lads, two more girls, Dave. You always see somebody come in within the last 10 days just to fuck everyone up. So there's going to be something somewhere, even if it's one lad and one girl. It's not the last we've seen of the new arrivals.
So aside from Tommy, Molly May, Anna and Jourdan, I do wonder how many people left in the house actually have a genuine love connection. It seems to me like there's a lot of couples in there that are just settling, apart from the two that we mentioned. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it's time for some new people to go in, have a recoupling, and then, we've only got 3 weeks left. So I think we're going to see some fairly regular recouplings and people getting kicked out of the villa now.
I think, so for mine, I think Ovi and Amma might not happen tonight, but I think on a slow burn, I do see that they've got chemistry. And they've, as you've said, Asa, they're one of the few couples, if you like, even though they're not really coupled up, who have actually got genuine chemistry.
Yeah. So, did you just say Ovi and Anna or Ovi and Amber?
Sorry. I might have said Anna. Hopefully not Anna. Ovi and Amber is what I meant.
Right, okay.
I thought you said Amma, but anyway, we'll take it, Dave.
I probably did.
Yeah,
it's just an amalgamation of the two.
Well, Asa, I want to thank you as always for coming on, my friend. As always, Asa is a great supporter of the podcast. If you want to get in contact with us, on Twitter at Love Island Cast, or if you want to email the show, the loveislandcast@gmail.com. And also, I've got a really, really good pal of mine who's been messaging me, and this is no lie. This is his name. He's a big cuddly bear, and his name is Vinny. So, Vinny, thank you so much for all the support, mate, and thanks for listening to the show. We really appreciate it. Now, Asa,
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Social Tornado. This weekend, you can catch me at Style Beer Festival in Manchester with AKA Noel Gallagher, special acoustic slot on Friday night.
So, Dave, I've got something. It's going to be pretty weak, but as we say, George looks like he's from the Soviet Union, and I think he actually has a bit of Ivan Drago about him. If he goes, he goes.